Okay, so I will show a quick little tutorial on how to make a counter, for example a death counter, and OBS using streamer.bot, so you don't have to use chat commands for stream elements or something like that. And the first thing we need to do is go to streamer.bot and download streamer.bot. Streamer.bot is a portable application, so you don't need to install it. You just run it from the folder you download it to, which also means you can run many instances of it. So we'll come back to the streamer.bot in a moment. Just gonna set up a couple of things in OBS. Personally, I prefer to have a dedicated scene to keep the counter in, because it'll make it a lot easier in streamer.bot when setting it up. So let's just make a death counter scene, and inside here we're going to use a text GDI. This is the thing that we edit with the streamer.bot death counter. So not death, doesn't matter what you write here, it will be replaced by the streamer.bot. Right, and then I'm just going to create a stream scene to be like one of the scenes to use the death counter scene in. Personally, I prefer to use source clone, but that is a plugin, so I'm gonna just add the scene directly instead, just for this tutorial. So death counter scene, add it as a source into whichever scene you want the death counter to be shown. I'm not gonna position it, but you can position it any way you want. One of the reasons why I like using the source clone is because if I add a filter to this one, it'll change it for all, but if you add a filter to a source clone, it changes it for only that one. Anyway, let's head over to streamer.bot. Going to unpack it, scroll down and run it. It'll take a moment to fire up. There we go. Now it says connected 0 of 0. We need to connect OBS to streamer.bot. So in order to do that in OBS, we first have to go to tools and WebSocket server settings, and we're gonna enable WebSocket server setting. You can leave all of this default, just click show connection info so you can copy the password, because you need that in streamer.bot, and press OK. And then in streamer.bot we go to stream apps and OBS, right click and add, just call it OBS. And unless you're using an old version of OBS, you want to use version 5.x. If you're using old versions, some of these parts are different because you're on version 4.9 and some things work differently. Then you just paste the password in like that, and then auto connect on startup, reconnect on disconnect, and OK. And you see you have it here. Just right click it and press connect. And unless something went wrong, you should now have connected, and it should also say connected there. So now we can go over to the actions in streamer.bot. We're going to create a new action. Just right click and add. Let's call this death counter increase. You don't have to use a group, but for organization I like using a group, so call it counters. And you can leave all the other stuff default, unless you plan on doing a lot of stream.bot stuff, then you might look into how that stuff works. I'm just going to make this window a bit bigger. So now we want this to do stuff. Right now it does nothing. The first thing we want this to do is to create a variable called global. Well, set a variable called global. We will call this deaths, and well, I will call it deaths underscore global. You can call it whatever you want, but creating names that make sense for what it is will help. And since this is an increase, we want to increment it and by 1. Okay. And then we need to go to core again, globals, and a global get. And in this, we want to get deaths underscore global. I believe it is case sensitive, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just keeping case sensitive for good measure. And we need to create a new variable name for the temporary variable that this is creating, which is what we'll be using to display it in OBS. So call it deaths underscore temp. And I'm gonna mark it all and copy that because that name we will need. And then default value 0. Okay. And then we want to go to OBS and sources, and you want to find set GDI text. So inside here, you can see you have all your scenes. And this is where it comes in handy to have a dedicated scene to have the counter on, because you need to select the scene here for where the source it's going to edit is. So if I chose stream scene and I had the death counter there, if I wanted to show the death counter on a recording scene instead, or a different stream scene instead, I would have to have multiple of these set up. But by having the death counter scene and then just embedding that into all the other scenes I want to show it in, I can just select death counter scene here. And then, well, now it auto-selected the death counter text because it's the only GDI text in that scene. But if you have many, they'll all be listed there. So let's just call this deaths : space. And when you click, when we press test, words are hard, you'll see it updates it, but it doesn't show anything. If I write 0, it'll just display 0. So we need to get that variable. The way we do that is we encase the variable name that we copy pasted inside percentage signs. So percentage deaths underscore temp percentage, and then we do test. Well, I'm gonna press OK here just so I can move it. You will see it displays that. It doesn't display a number. That's because the variable has not been created yet. So in order to get that to be created, we need the entire action to run, not just test this function to update the text. So in order to do that, we will want to just add a test trigger, and then we can right click on it and test trigger. Bam, you see it updates it to 1. Test it again and 2. Now we can just delete the test trigger now that we know it works. And then we can duplicate this if you want to have a version that decreases the number. So I'm just going to rename it to decrease. And then we're just going to go into the increment global deaths and change that to decrement and OK. And then we need, now there's 2 ways to control this. Well, there's more, but the 2 ways I'm going to show is either via hotkeys or via Stream Deck. So the first one is hotkeys. Just right click and choose core, hotkeys, and hotkey press. I have not created any hotkeys, so just create hotkey, and you can select whichever you want. Let's go with page up. And you have to have a modifier on it. It does not allow a single key press with no modifier to be a hotkey in streamer.bot, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to choose shift, and then OK. And you see now it's selected shift plus page up. OK. So if I hold down shift and press page up, well, it decreases it because I chose it on the wrong one. So I'm just going to create a new hotkey for this one. Shift and page down. OK. OK. So now if I press shift and page down, you see it decreases it. Then if we go over to the stat encounter increase, we can do core, hotkey press. And since we already created the shift plus page up, we can just select it and OK. So now when I do the shift plus page up, it goes up. If you do shift plus page down, it goes down. And that's how you use the hotkeys. Now, of course, you can call hotkeys with the Stream Deck using the hotkey function, but there's also a dedicated streamer.bot plugin for the Stream Deck. So you just open the marketplace and you go to streamer.bot, just search that, and you'll find this one. The same symbol, streamer.bot, buy streamer.bot. You just get that one. And then you will have this one. Contains 3 things. And the one we want for this is action. Now, you will need to connect the Stream Deck to the streamer bot. In order to do that, you go to integrations in streamer.bot. I'm just going to make this wider, and Elgato. And you will want to have this is also a WebSocket server. So you want to press it on, well, you don't have to, but I recommend making it auto start. I'm just going to change the default port 1 down because I have a different version going, but you don't have to do that. And then start server. So now every time you fire up streamer.bot, it will automatically start this and connect the Stream Deck to it when we have selected it here. So now you can see this is the one I had before, which is offline. I just select this one, which is the new one with the 8058 at the bottom, and it says online. And then I can choose Deathcounter increase on this one. And if I add a new action, I have to select that one again. You should only have one in that list unless you have multiple set up. And you will have to go to select back and forth just to get it to update this list, and then decrease. So when I on my Stream Deck now press increase, it goes up, and decrease, it goes down. And that's really it on how to make it work. So you just fire up streamer.bot, and you can just minimize it after you've launched it when you want to use the things, and it'll just work. It'll automatically connect both to OBS and to the Stream Deck if you're using that. And you can just quickly and easily add and decrease from the counter. I hope that helps.